I never thought my own blood would rig the brakes on my life. But there I was, hydroplaning toward oblivion on I-95, the dashboard lights flickering like a bad omen while my sister's laughter echoed from the rearview, except it wasn't her. Not really. It was me, trapped in this stolen shell, her perfect skin masking my vengeful soul. And the irony burned hotter than the engine about to seize. They toasted her success with champagne flutes and a lease on that cherry-red Escalade, but handed me the keys to a death trap, whispering prayers I'd never make it home because some secrets are worth killing for, and mine had just clawed its way back from the grave. I remember the exact moment the world flipped inside out, like God himself hit the cosmic reset button just to screw with me. It was 2 years ago, the night of the gala at the Waldorf Astoria in Manhattan, Daddy's big philanthropy bash for underprivileged kids. The kind where billionaires pat themselves on the back with tax write-offs. I was Penelope Hargrove, the forgotten middle child, 28 and scraping by as a junior editor at a fading lit mag in Brooklyn, while my golden girl sister, Victoria, 25 and fresh out of Yale Law with honors, schmoozed the room like she owned it. Our family fortune came from Hargrove Pharmaceuticals, opioids that kept half of America numb and the other half suing, but Vic was the heir apparent, the one Daddy groomed to take the reins, while I was the black sheep who dared to question the ethics of peddling painkillers to the desperate. That night, I cornered Vic in the powder room, the marble counters cold under my palms as I hissed, "You think you can bury this forever? I know what you did to that girl in New Haven." Her eyes, those ice-blue mirrors of our mothers, widened for a split second before narrowing into slits. "Penelope, darling, you're drunk on cheap Merlot again. Run along before you embarrass us." But I wasn't drunk. I had the proof. Emails I'd hacked from her laptop during Christmas break, detailing how she'd paid off a freshman sorority pledge to take the fall for Vic's coke-fueled hit-and-run. That poor kid, Mia Reynolds, ended up with a felony record, expelled, her life in ruins, while Vic waltzed into big law without a scratch. I'd covered for her once, back in college, vouching for her alibi when the cops came knocking, because that's what sisters do, right? Blood's thicker than justice. But not anymore. She laughed then, a tinkling sound like shattering crystal, and shoved a flute of champagne into my hand. "To family," she toasted, her manicured nails glinting under the vanity lights. I drank, bitter bubbles sliding down my throat, and that's when the vertigo hit, like the floor was a funhouse mirror warping beneath me. The room spun, colors bleeding into one another, and Vic's face. God. Her face melted into mine. Or maybe mine into hers. I gasped, clutching the sink, my reflection staring back with Vic's features, high cheekbones, platinum waves, that smug tilt to the lips. But my eyes, my terrified, brown eyes, stared out from her skull. "What? What did you do?" I whispered, my voice coming out in her honeyed drawl. She leaned in close, her breath, my breath, scented with mint and malice. "A little something from Daddy's labs. Experimental neural swap tech, top secret, for empathy training and execs. But why waste it on boardroom snakes when I could use it on you? Consider it payback for sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. Penny. Now you're me. And I'm free." Her hand, my hand, pressed a vial into my palm. "The antidote," she claimed, but with a wink that said otherwise. "1 drop a month. Or poof, permanent. Enjoy the upgrade." Then she sauntered out, leaving me to puke up my soul into the sink. I stumbled back to the ballroom, heart hammering like a war drum, Every step a betrayal of my own body. People clapped her on the back. Victoria. Brilliant speech. Hargrove's future queen. Daddy beamed from the podium, his silver temples catching the spotlight, oblivious as always. I wanted to scream, to rip off this mask of flesh and bone. But the words stuck, trapped in her vocal cords. By dawn, I was back in her Upper East Side penthouse, our family pied à terre, staring at a closet full of Chanel and Louboutins that screamed, success I never earned. My real body, Vic had slipped away in it, probably crashing at my crappy Williamsburg walk-up, playing the struggling artist to perfection. The first week was hell. A fever dream of imposter syndrome cranked to 11. I'd wake up gasping, convinced it was a nightmare, only to catch her reflection in the gilded mirror, flawless, predatory, everything I wasn't. My real life? Vic was dismantling it brick by brick. Text from my boss. Penelope, your latest edits are sloppy on probation. Emails from friends. Hey, you okay? You ghosted brunch. And the kicker, a voicemail from my landlord. Miss Hargrove. Eviction notice for non-payment. Your sister's bailing you out. She was siphoning my bank account dry, using my credit to fund her art supplies, aka nose candy and Ubers to dive bars where she could slum it without consequence. But the real gut punch came on her birthday, 3 weeks in. Daddy threw a bash at the Hamptons estate, black tie under the stars, with a fleet of valets and a string quartet murdering Vivaldi. I arrived in Vic's body, draped in Oscar de la Renta, feeling like a thief in a crown. The family gathered on the veranda, Daddy, ramrod straight in his tux, nursing a scotch, Mom, ethereal in white, popping Xanax like Tic Tacs, and Vic, in my lanky frame, all thrift store chic and ironic smiles, playing the prodigal daughter returned. Surprise! Daddy boomed, unveiling the gifts. For Vic, me, a sleek black Escalade, keys dangling from a velvet bow. For the new junior partner at Sterling and Locke. Drive safe, kiddo. Cheers erupted, clinking glasses and backslaps. Then he turned to me, real me, trapped in her skin, and handed over a set of keys on a chipped fob. And for you, Penelope, something practical. Your old Civic finally gave out, but I found this gem on Craigslist. Start fresh. I forced a smile, Vic's lips stretching unnaturally, and followed the valet to the garage. There it sat, a '98 Corolla, rust-eaten, with a bumper held by duct tape and tires bald as a politician's conscience. I slid behind the wheel, the engine coughing to life like a chain-smoker's hack, and that's when I saw it, the tampered brake line, fluid dripping like black blood onto the concrete. A note tucked under the visor. Drive carefully, sis. Wouldn't want another accident like Mia's. Her handwriting, looped and lethal. They celebrated her with the SUV but gave me the broken car, hoping I'd crash on the highway, just like she'd hoped for Mia. It was her masterpiece. Frame me for vehicular manslaughter. Pin the old cover-up on the unstable sister. And inherit it all. I revved the engine, tires screeching as I peeled out, not toward oblivion, but back to the city. No more playing nice. The vial of antidote burned in my clutch, my last leverage, but revenge? That was the real elixir, bubbling hot in my veins. The drive back to the city was a blur of sodium lamps and rage, the Corolla shuddering like it mirrored my fracturing sanity. I kept one eye on the rear view, half expecting Daddy's security detail to tail me. But no, the Hargroves trusted their perfect princess implicitly. If only they knew the monster wearing her face was plotting their downfall from the front seat of a junker. By the time I hit the Brooklyn Bridge, the antidote vial clutched in my fist like a grenade pin, I'd mapped it out, exposed Vic's sins, but not before making her taste every ounce of the hell she'd shoveled onto me. Body swap or not, I was still Penelope Hargrove. And Hargroves didn't fold, they detonated. First stop, my old apartment in Williamsburg. A fourth-floor walk-up reeking of weed and regret. I buzzed up, heart pounding, and there she was, me leaning in the doorway, my freckled nose wrinkled in mock surprise. "Vic, what the hell are you doing in Brooklyn?"
Slumming it.
Her voice, my voice, dripped sarcasm, but her eyes, my eyes, flickered with panic. She looked wrecked, my thrift shop wardrobe hanging off her like regrets. Dark circles under her lids from whatever bender she'd nursed in my skin. "Get inside," I snarled in her polished timbre, shoving past into the chaos of takeout boxes and unopened mail. We faced off in the kitchenette, the single bulb swinging like a noose. "You think this is funny?" she hissed, jabbing a finger at her, my chest. "Wearing my face while you trash my life. Daddy's already sniffing around my erratic behavior at the firm." I laughed, a sound like velvet over razor wire. Erratic? That's rich coming from the girl who dosed her own sister with black market brain juice. "How's it feel, Vic, to wake up poor, invisible, begging for scraps?" She lunged then, nails raking my arm, her arm, but I was ready, twisting her wrist until she yelped. "The emails, the payoffs to me as family, I have copies. One click, and it's all over Drudge, Kimsey, the Times. Your Yale degree?
Tarnished.
Daddy's empire? Crumbling under FDA probes." Her face crumpled, real fear cracking the facade. "You wouldn't. We're family."
Penny.
Blood. I leaned in close, our breaths mingling, hers stale coffee, mine Chanel no.
5.
Blood? You spilled Mia's life like it was nothing. Then mine. But here's the deal. You give me back my body, clean, or I burn it all down. Starting with that car Daddy gifted me. Brakes sabotaged, classy touch.
Sis.
Hoping for another cover-up artist. She paled, sinking onto the sagging couch. It was a bluff. Panic move. I needed you out of the way. The board's voting next month, if they dig into the New Haven thing. There it was, the chink in her armor.
Power.
Vic didn't just want the throne, she craved the scepter. The one Daddy dangled just out of reach, because, deep down, he knew she was rotten. We struck a truce. Fragile as rice paper. Monthly swaps back under supervised conditions, using the antidote in tandem. She'd reform my reputation at the firm, junior associate gig, fat salary, while I played the dutiful daughter, charming investors and burying skeletons. In return, I'd feed her intel on Daddy's maneuvers, keep the Mia files locked in a cloud vault only I could access. It was symbiotic sabotage, a twisted tango where we both led and followed, each step a potential tripwire. For 6 months,
It worked like a well-oiled lie.
I climbed the ladder at Sterling and Locke, drafting NDAs that shielded pharma giants from lawsuits. Her, poise masking the bile rising at every hypocrisy. Vic, meanwhile, reinvented herself in my body, art installations in Bushwick galleries, viral TikToks on corporate burnout, positioning for a tell-all book deal that would whitewash our family sins. But cracks spiderwebbed fast. Mom started noticing. Victoria, you've got Penelope's slouch posture. Dear. Daddy grilled me over steak frites at Le Bernardin. What's with the bleeding heart briefs? Vic? Hargrove blood runs capitalist, not communist. And Vic? She slipped, partying too hard in my skin, racking up DUIs that pinged my credit, alienating my few friends with her venomous quips. I covered, always covering,
Just like old times.
until the night of the merger party, when everything ignited. Hargrove Pharma was swallowing a rival. A $2 billion deal sealed with handshakes and hookers in the penthouse suite of the plaza. I arrived as Vic, red gown hugging curves I'd kill to reclaim, schmoozing senators and CEOs like a pro. Vic was there too, in my dowdy shift dress, nursing a ginger ale to play the recovering addict, her latest arc for authenticity. We exchanged loaded glances across the crystal chandeliers, a silent Morse code of mutual loathing. Then Daddy pulled me aside, his grip iron on my elbow. Victoria, we need to talk about your sister. She's spiraling overdoses. Bad company. I've got a clinic in Switzerland. Mandatory detox. Can't have scandal right before the vote. My blood ran cold. Detox?
Daddy.
Penelope's just finding herself. He waved it off, eyes hard as boardroom oak.
No.
She's a liability. Like that New Haven mess you cleaned up, God.
Girl.
You're made of sterner stuff. Proud of you. He kissed my hurt cheek, and I nearly retched. Cleaned up. He knew. All this time, the great Elias Hargrove had known about Mia, orchestrated the cover-up from his ivory tower, sacrificing his own daughter to protect the empire. Me, the scapegoat. The one who took the heat because Vic was his mirror. His legacy. I cornered Vic in the coat room, shoving her against the fur racks. He knows.
About Mia.
And he's known forever. Her eyes, my eyes bulged.
What?
That bastard, he promised. Turns out, the experimental tech wasn't Vic's solo genius. Daddy had greenlit it. A twisted loyalty test. Swap to build empathy, he'd said. But really? To forge unbreakable alibis. If Vic ever slipped, she'd have my confession ready, body and soul. We were pawns in his chess game, sisters bound by his betrayal. That night, I made my first controversial call: delete the Mia files. Not for her, for me. Leverage was a chain, better to snap it and run free. But freedom? It tasted like arsenic. As I drove the Escalade home, my junker long scrapped, brakes fixed by Daddy's mechanic, the city lights smeared into accusations. Who was I without the hate? The swap had warped us both. Vic craved my chaos. I her control. And the antidote? I palmed it into the Hudson, watching bubbles rise like unspoken truths. One drop less. 1 month closer to permanence. Let her wonder. The merger vote loomed like a guillotine.
6 weeks out.
And the penthouse became a war room of whispers and wire transfers. I threw myself into Vic's role with feral intensity, lobbying senators over power lunches at the Four Seasons, schmoozing analysts with insider tips that skirted SEC lines. It was intoxicating. This skin-deep power. The way doors swung wide and men tripped over themselves to fetch my dry martini. But every mirror was a reminder. This wasn't mine. My real body? Vic was trashing it. Holing up in a Soho loft funded by anonymous patrons, code for Daddy's slush fund, painting feverish canvases of fractured faces that critics hailed as raw genius. She even scored a TED Talk slot, From pharma princess to soul survivor, breaking free from family curses. The irony? It went viral, positioning her, me, as the victim, the enlightened one exposing toxic dynasties. I seethed in silence, plotting from the shadows. My controversial pivot: seduce the enemy. Enter Marcus Hale, the rival firm's whistleblower, a disgraced chemist with a grudge and a thumb drive full of Hargrove's dirty laundry. Opioid trials fudged. Kickbacks to docs. That neural swap serum tested on unwitting vagrants in Philly alleys. I met him in a dive bar off Wall Street, nursing a whiskey neat in Vic's body. Her allure a weapon I'd honed to a stiletto. Mr. Hale, I purred, crossing legs that weren't mine. Let's say I want the truth. All of it. What's it worth to you? He leaned in, eyes hungry, not for her beauty, but for vindication. Everything, he murmured, sliding the drive across the scarred oak. But you'll burn with us. Hargrove. Burn we did, but on my terms. I leaked select files to ProPublica, timed for maximum splash, headlines screaming, Hargrove airs hidden horrors, pharma empire built on broken backs. The stock dipped 15%. Daddy's wore chest hemorrhaging. And Vic, she panicked, blowing up my burner. You bitch. This tanks my book deal. I texted back. Collateral. Sis. Feel the squeeze yet. It was my first real strike, not lethal, but a warning shot. Controversial? Hell yes. Dozens of addicts relapsed without their scripts. Families splintered further. But justice isn't clean, it's a meat grinder. And I was feeding the blades. Daddy summoned me to the estate that weekend, the library reeking of leather and lies. He paced before the fireplace, flames licking the grate like accusatory tongues. Victoria, what the fuck is this leak? Reporters crawling at my ass, FDA breathing down our necks. I perched on the Chesterfield, feigning shock.
Daddy. I
don't know. But if it's internal, maybe Penelope's involved. She's always resented us. He stopped, face twisting in that patented Hargrove scowl. Your sister's a junkie ghost.
Vic.
Forget her. You're the future, unless you fuck this up. He poured us brandies, his hand steady as a surgeon's. Remember New Haven? You handled it like a pro. This, same drill. Bury it.
Bury it.
The words echoed as I drove back, the Escalade's leather seats cradling me like a coffin. That's when I uncovered the next layer. The swap wasn't just a test, it was insurance. Daddy had recorded everything. Hidden cams in the penthouse capturing our sessions. Leverage on us both. Ensuring loyalty. Vic, the fool, had confessed on tape. The hidden run. The payoffs. Even dosing me without his full sign-off. And me, my hacks, my threats, all damning. We were leashed dogs, collars tightening with every snarl. The breaking point came mid-July. Heat wave choking the city like a fever dream. Vic cornered me at a rooftop gala for the Met. My face flushed from rose spritzers. We end this now, she slurred, dragging me to the edge where the skyline glittered like fool's gold. Antidote, full dose. Swap back. Or I jump. Tell Daddy it was the depressed artist relapse. Wind whipped her hair, my hair, and for a heartbeat, pity flickered. She was unraveling, the power trip curdling into paranoia, convinced shadows were SEC agents. Vic, I said softly, her voice a stranger in my throat. Jumping solves nothing. We're in this together, his puppets. She laughed. Bitter as bile. Together?
You stole my life. Penny.
The firm. The respect. Gone because you couldn't let sleeping dogs lie. I grabbed her arm. Nails digging crescents. You stole mine first. Mia's dead because of you overdose last year. Did you know? Couldn't afford rehab with that record. Her eyes, my eyes, widened. Genuine shock cracking through.
No.
I paid her family off. She was fine.
Lies.
I checked obits during late-night scrolls. Mia had spiraled, just like they planned. That's when I made the call, push her. Jump then. Prove you're the weak link. Or fight with me. Against him. She teetered. The city of void below. Then stepped back. Trembling.
Fine.
Truce 2.0. But we take him down. Together. It was madness. This sisterly armistice. But necessity breeds strange bedfellows. We pooled resources. Her art contacts for deepfakes masking our swaps. My legal chops to draft anonymous suits. We fed Marcus more intel. Staging leaks that painted Daddy as the sole villain, Vic the redeemed daughter, me the martyr artist. Controversial? We doxed enablers. Ruined lives tangential to the empire. A junior exec lost his house, a lobbyist faced divorce. Ripples of ruin. All to drown the source. Climax brewed at the vote. Boardroom at Hargrove Tower. Glass walls framing Central Park like a conquered kingdom. I sat as Vic. Power suit crisp. While she lurked in the wings as consultant Penelope, clipboard in hand. Daddy entered like a lion. But we were the hyenas, slipping the full drive to the chairman mid-presentation. Whispers of embezzlement and human trials. Chaos erupted. Shouts. Laptops slamming. Daddy's face purpling as the vote splintered. Traitors, he roared, zeroing on me. You, my own blood? I stood, calm as a grave. Blood? You've bled us dry. Elias. The swap. The cover-ups, it's over. Security swarmed, but Vic, brilliant. Broken Vic, triggered the fire alarm. Klaxons wailing as we bolted for the elevators. In the chaos, we dosed each other, full antidote. Bodies convulsing in the dim cab as souls realigned. Agony. Exquisite. Like birthing myself anew. When the doors dinged open, I was me again, freckles, frizz, familiar aches. Vic blinked in her skin.
Gasping. It
worked. We fled into the streets, sirens harmonizing with our sobs. The fallout was biblical. Hargrove Pharma's stock cratered 40%. Daddy indicted on RICO charges, the empire fracturing into class actions and congressional hearings. Mom fled to Capri with her yoga guru, leaving voicemails like suicide notes. How could you girls? We were a family. Vic and I holed up in a Jersey motel, chain-smoking Camels and splitting a bottle of bottom-shelf bourbon. Our first real talk in years. I hated you, she admitted, ash trembling from her cig. Always the good one. The conscience. Made me feel small. I snorted, coughing on smoke. Small? You were the star.
Vic.
I was the prop, the one who ate the blame, so you could shine. Tears carved tracks through her mascara. And for once, it felt honest. Sisters, scarred but stitching. We surfaced as whistleblowers, testifying in D.C. Under immunity deals. Marcus got his payday. A Netflix docuseries deal that lionized us as the Hargrove sisters, from victims to victors. Controversial splash. I pushed for asset freezes that left cancer patients scrambling for meds. Necessary evil. I told myself. But the hate mail piled up. Death threats scrawled on motel walls. Vic spiraled again, popping Daddy's old samples. But I drag her to NA meetings in church basements, holding her hair back during heaves. Redemption's gritty. No Hollywood gloss. 6 months post-vote. The twist hit like a sucker punch. Summoned to Daddy's arraignment in federal court. Midtown Manhattan buzzing with paparazzi vultures. He looked diminished in the dock, cuffs chafing his wrists. That silver mane unkempt. Girls, he croaked as we approached the rail, eyes pleading. You did this. Vic stiffened, but I leaned in, voice steady.
Yeah, Dad.
For Mia. For all of them. He chuckled, wet and ragged.
Mia?
That junkie pledge? She wasn't collateral. She was the plan. My stomach dropped. What? Turns out, the hit and run? Staged. Daddy had orchestrated it, a lesson in ruthlessness for Vic, using Mia as bait. The girl was an actor, a plant from his security firm, paid triple to fake the crash and vanish with a new identity in Vancouver. The felony, the expulsion, forged docs to toughen Vic up. And me, I'd confessed on tape, not as cover, but as test. Would I betray family for truth? The emails I'd hacked? Plants. Breadcrumbs to lure me in. The swap? His masterstroke. Swapping us to see who'd crack first. Vic was the heir because she didn't. She dosed me to win his approval, proving she'd go nuclear for the crown. You played us, Vic whispered, swaying like she'd been gutted. Daddy smiled.
Serpentine.
Built you stronger. Hargrove blood demands it. Drop the charges, reclaim your birthright. Or rot with me. The courtroom spun, truth inverting like a bad trip. We toppled an innocent empire for a ghost crime, ruined lives on a lie. Mia lived thriving, even as Elena Voss, gallery owner in Canada, but dozens suffered our justice. Laid off workers, denied treatments, suicides spiking in opioid deserts. I made the final controversial call. Recant.
Publicly.
Mistaken identity. I told the press conference. Vic nodding mute beside me, her eyes hollow. Charges crumbled. Daddy walked, house arrest in the Hamptons, plotting comeback. We returned to the fold. Me editing again. Vic at the firm. But the swap's scars lingered, phantom itches where souls had scraped. Was it happy? We were alive. Together. The empire intact. But by tragic. 2 monsters we'd become. Mirrors of him. Readers debate. Heroes or heirs. Victims or villains. Blood's thicker than truth. After all, and it stains forever. As I drive the old Corolla now, restored, brakes pristine, past the highway where it all could have ended, I wonder if I could swap back time. Would I? Probably not. Revenge isn't a destination, it's the detour that remakes you. And in America, we love our detours, twisty, treacherous, leading God knows where.